It may surprise you to know that most American children have at least 21 vaccinations before they get to first grade, and that's more than twice as many shots as a decade ago. Well, today on Capitol Hill, Surgeon General David Satcher defended the safety of childhood shots, but at a committee hearing, parents expressed the fear that there's a link between some vaccines and illness. ABC's Jane Clayson tonight from one community where the fear is very specific.
In places like the quiet, affluent Northern California suburb of Granite Bay, parents of autistic children have started noticing the growing number of other autistic children.
You only need to talk to educators and people in the medical community and parents and friends to just know how severe this problem has become.
You couldn't tell anyone without them saying, "Oh, I have 2 autistic kids in my class," or "Our next-door neighbor has a child with autism."
It's happening all over the country. In California, a report compiled by the Department of Developmental Services documented a 273% increase in autism cases in the state over the past 11 years. In a community such as Granite Bay, that translates to 1 in every 130 children.
Say bubbles.
Autism is a severe developmental disorder. Children have trouble communicating and relating to others and often display obsessive, repetitive behavior. For years, scientists have been trying to find out why the incidence of autism have been increasing. They've looked at everything from genetics to pollution. But parents in Granite Bay and some researchers are convinced there is something else.
The huge upsurge in cases in the U.S. has also coincides with the onset of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine.
Dr. Rimlin has studied autism for 40 years and claims he has documented the autism vaccination connection here and in England. He believes the combination of 3 vaccines at once may be simply too much for some children's immune systems to handle. But the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institutes of Health insist there is no link between vaccinations and the onset of autism and warn against such sweeping conclusions.
We are desperately trying to find not the cause, but the causes of autism. We believe there are a variety of different causes for this behavioral syndrome.
While nobody agrees on the cause, everyone agrees that autism cases are increasing dramatically and more research is needed soon. Jane Clayson, ABC News, Granite Bay, California.
A couple of related points. The Autism Society of America says there are more than 500,000 people with autism or related disorders in the U.S. The estimated cost of caring for someone with autism is $2 million over their lifetime. And 75% to 80% of the people with autism are male.
Like most teens, Carly likes music, boys, clothing, and of course, going to the mall.
Which one?
Carly has been very clear that she sees herself as a normal child, locked in a body that does things that she has no control over.
No, Carly.
In public, everything has to be broken down and planned to control her impulses. In the past, she has wandered off, even stolen things. Side by side with her twin sister Taryn, it would be easy to dismiss Carly as intellectually challenged. That is, until you ask her a question.
Carly, why do autistic kids cover their ears, flap their hands, hum, and rock?
It's a way for us to drown out all sensory input that overloads us all at once. We create output to block out input.
Carly's brain, unlike most people's, is overwhelmed by the senses of sight and sound, taste and smell.
Our brains are wired differently. We take in many sounds and conversations at once. I take over 1,000 pictures of a person's face when I look at them. That's why we have a hard time looking at people. I have learned how to filter through some of the mess.
A topic that many medical professionals won't touch. Can childhood vaccinations be the cause of autism in some children?
WETM 18 News reporter Zach Wheeler has been sifting through all the research and joins us now live in the studio with more. Zach.
Well, definitely, we sat down with one local family who shared their story on how they believe their 2 children developed autism after they were vaccinated. What you're about to hear may just surprise you.
To give you an idea of what a happy...
As Barbara and Butch Lebrecht look through pictures of their kids, they can't help but wonder if they only knew what they know now. Their first son, Johnny, was born a normal and healthy boy, very strong and very alert. But after Johnny received his 4-month shots, he became very ill with chronic diarrhea. Doctors ruled out different allergies or colic.
We hospitalized him, and we questioned if it could be the vaccines at that point, because he had just had his vaccines right before that episode, and we were told no.
It was after his 12-month immunization that Johnny seemed to be getting worse.
The diarrhea came back, and within a week, we saw that he slowly started to lose his developmental functions. He suddenly wasn't the happy, playful, joyful baby and little toddler anymore. He was very removed.
The Lebrechts say several developmental professionals diagnosed Johnny with autism. It was a little more than a year and a half after Johnny was born that the Lebrechts celebrated the birth of their second child, Sierra. They were determined not to have her vaccinated, but say they were forced by the doctor to do so.
They took Sarah from my arms and they vaccinated her that very night. She swelled up like a watermelon, turned purple-red from head to toe, body rash.
Within a week, Sierra was rushed upstate to Rochester Children's Hospital, fighting for her life. Her liver was failing and organs were seriously damaged. Doctors didn't think she would survive.
We believed she was vaccine injured. We knew she was. We saw her reaction that very night.
Sierra survived but had to be put on a feeding tube for 3 years. Like her brother, Sierra was also diagnosed with having autism, a condition that does not run in their family. Vaccine-induced autism is very controversial in the medical community. A study done by doctors and researchers in England in 1998 and more recently in 2006 suggested that there is a link between the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine and autism. The study suggests that the preservatives and ingredients in the vaccines could be causing autism in a significant number of children. Right now, the CDC says 1 in 150 children in the United States has autism. The CDC still doesn't know a lot about the causes of autism. However, scientists say genetics and environment play a role. However, there might be many causes that lead to autism.
There have been many studies now looking very, very carefully at the data on does the vaccine or does mercury cause autism, and it does not. There's very good scientific evidence that it doesn't.
The Center for Disease Control in the United States says the weight of currently available scientific evidence does not support the hypothesis that vaccines cause autism. However, the CDC goes on to say they recognize there is considerable public interest in this issue and therefore support additional research.
Nothing is 100% safe. Can we guarantee your child will never have a serious side effect or a reaction from a shot? No, but I mean, some of the things that we're preventing are much more serious than any of the side effect from any of these vaccines.
According to the CDC, the signs of autism may appear at around the same time children receive the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. The CDC says the vaccine is not to blame. However, the Lebrechts stand behind their belief and point to research that supports their claims that vaccines are to blame for their children's autism.
We've gone through a lot. We'd like to try to avoid, we'd like to try to make sure that parents and families understand that it's their choice as to whether or not they get their kids vaccinated.
Now, this is such a controversial issue that we called medical professionals throughout the area. Many didn't return our calls. In no way are we saying that you should not have your children vaccinated. We just want to provide you the information you need to know to make an informed choice. Now, you can log on to our website at WETMTV.com. There you will find information on both sides of this controversy. Reporting live in the studio, Zach Wheeler, WETM 18 News.